Hi, thank you so much for joining me today for day 28 of 30 Days of Sketches with Christie's Beautiful Life. And today the sketch has been designed by the lovely Sara Scraps. You can see it in the top right hand corner there, and I will leave Sarah's details in the description box down below, along with the playlist of everybody else who's joining in on this fabulous hop. Christie created a playlist so that we can all add our videos daily, and you just have one place to click and watch to your heart's content rather than having to go back and to all the different links in people's description boxes and getting lost and missing things. So it's great to have it all there in one place. These photos are of my son. It's actually on his birthday last weekend with his friends, but it's him showing off his weightlifting skills, which is one of his latest obsessions. So I just wanted to use this opportunity to document where he is in his life and what's happening with his weight training. So I thought this would be the perfect opportunity. So I'm using 49 and Market Spectrum Sherbet for this, and I've pulled out all the blues and greens that will work really nicely with these photos. So I've got that half frame that I'm just trying to work out where to go, and a lot of these mats I'm using are the remnant pieces that 49 and Market used to do. They've not done them in the last few collections, but I really did enjoy those. They're great for matting and layering. So just trying to decide exactly where everything's going to go here before I glue it all down as one piece per usual, and then I can move it about and add my mixed media behind the page. And today I'm going to work with some stenciling behind the photos, and I'm also going to stamp my title up the left hand side of the page per the sketch. You can see I rotated the sketch by 90 degrees just so that I can use some vertical photos, some portrait style photos, rather than the horizontal ones that you see in the sketch there. So this is a scrap of 12 by 12 paper that I had left over. So I've used some across the bottom, cut it in half, and then flipped it over and used a half of the piece that's left at the top there just to embellish and to bring a lighter blue into the top. So I've just distressed the top piece with my fingernails, but that's pretty tough with 49 and Market papers because they're very thick. So I've grabbed my edge distresser tool to distress the bottom piece. The remnants have almost like a die cut effect of ripped paper to them, so I didn't want the strong stark lines of cut paper in those scraps that I've used, so distressing the edges just softens that slightly. So I'm just going to fix down this frame. I decided to put it on the right hand side because the title's going to go on the left, and then I can start working on the title. So I'm going to use my LE Studio Max stamp set and the Pine Needles Distress Oxide from Ranger Tim Holtz. So I'm just going to spell out Academy level, which is where James is in his weight training, and then I'll add these to the stamp block. And to get these spaced correctly, what I'm going to do is add the letters, but I need the letter A twice. So I'll position it on my stamp block and then move it along so that I get the spacing correctly where the second A goes, and then bring that A back to the front of the word to actually stamp. You'll see what I mean in a minute. It just gives the spacing that you need, and it also means that I know where to start my stamping. If I missed off the A at the beginning, I wouldn't know exactly where it was going to start. So I hope that makes sense. I don't feel I haven't explained that very well. But you can see there, I just moved it back from the middle to the front of the word, but I know that that space is correct for the second A when I come back in to stamp that again. So I'm just going to stamp this onto a scrap piece of card just to check that I'm happy with the spacing of the letters. I haven't done an awful lot of work with letter stamps recently, so I just want to double check that I'm happy with everything. So just making sure that it's well inked, and then checking the positioning of the mat and then laying it down. Now I haven't actually stuck these photos down onto the layout yet, partly because I want to add some stenciling behind, but also because I know that if I go drastically wrong with this stamping, I can just replace the card. So it's a fairly easy fix if it goes wrong, but it doesn't, thank goodness, so all is good. So I'm just doing exactly the same with the word level. I need the L twice and the E twice, so just positioning them down and then moving the stamps along to get that spacing. So you can see there's a space next to the L for the E and then a space at the end for the last L. So just taking the excess letters off, and then I can add the E and then the L. And I do this separately. I just find it easier to stamp the extra letters separately rather than trying to get the spacing correct for the last two. So once this stamping's done, I want to create like a mottled effect to these letters. So I'm going to spray them with my water bottle and then very quickly mop it up so that it doesn't bleed all over the paper. And that will just give a really nice oxidization of those letters and add that mottled effect, which mimics the mottled effect of the grass and the leaves in the photos. So now that stamping's done down the side, I want to come in with my stencil, and this is one from Crafter's Workshop. I absolutely adore this stencil. I just really like the look that it gives behind. A nice grid look, but it's like a broken grid. So I'm coming in first of all with pine needles, again, that same colour that I used for the title, and one of my little stencil brushes. These are great for intricate detail work like this, because I want to use 3 different colours so that I get the differentials in the colours, the same as you can see in the photos. So I started with pine needles, then I'm coming in with iced spruce, which is a much cooler toned green, and then finishing off with speckled egg, a pale blue. And off camera, you don't actually see it, I am wiping the brush in between each colour, just on a damp paper towel, just to lift off the surplus ink from that. So just bringing that mat in to check that I'm happy with the stenciling, and then moving it across, and I shall carry on. And once I've gone across the top of the photos, I will go across the bottom as well. So James, they did weight training at his school for a term, and he was chosen at the end to join the Pride Performance training program. So he was given, I think it was 3 months or 6 months for free to see if he enjoyed it, and he really did, and he's taken to it like a duck to water. It's given him a focus, and it's actually taken over his rugby training. So he's finished rugby now, and he's just focusing on weightlifting. So I promised him, his dad and I promised him that as soon as he'd finished his exams, we would pay for him to go up to the academy level, which means he can train as much as he wants. He gets a personalised programme, personal training, and he can start entering competitions around the country with his weightlifting, which he's, as I say, he's really enjoying. It's good for them to have hobbies, isn't it? So if it's one that's helping his physical fitness, then I'm all for it. So just stenciling again at the bottom, exactly the same as I did at the top, using those 3 different colours, just wiping off my brush in between and getting that all down. And you'll have seen I brought the mat in just to check that I was happy with the positioning, because I want that title to be central down the side of that photo mat. So it was important I didn't go too far down or up with the stenciling. I also want to have my journaling in the bottom right hand corner per the sketch, so I wanted to make sure that I'd left enough room for that. So now that's all sorted, I can stick this mat down and then continue with the embellishing. So just using my sticks to tape runner there to get this all stuck down onto the layout, and then I can start with the embellishing. So first of all, bringing back in that JD3DPrint wood title that says fun, and I shall just stick that down with my wet glue. And because there's a lot of blank space on the photos of the grass in front of James, this is a great opportunity to embellish those photos as well as around the layout, and that just brings everything into one and makes it all part of the layout cohesively. So adding a few bits from the laser cut pieces from Spectrum Sherbet, and also the ephemera pieces from Spectrum Sherbet. There's that notebook piece that I've added to the top left, and then this little word strip that says "Be the best you," which I think works nicely for this layout. That was a half label that I had left over from a previous layout. If you know me, you know I don't like to throw anything away, because you can always tuck it in somewhere and it adds a little bit of interest to something. This is a ticket again from the ephemera pack. I did try that other ticket that you can see to the right hand side, but it was just a little bit too pale. I wanted a slightly darker ticket. Now this little fabric tag we sell at Hey Little Magpie in our Bits and Pieces collections, and it just says hello, and the green was perfect to go with these photos, so I really like that. So now I'm just going to define the edges of the title. I felt that the way that I bled the ink to get that mottled effect made the edges slightly blurry, so by going around it with a black pen it really defines those edges, and I've just done it very, very roughly, and it just looks really nice with the tone of this layout, if you like. So just adding a few bits and pieces to the bottom right there now. I've brought in the chipboard circle from Spectrum Sherbet and some padded stars from Hey Little Magpie. The little circle with the star in the middle is just a punched out printable that I've used, and I will bring another one into the left hand side as well, a little mustard one with chevrons. And now you can see those little sticker labels are from My Mind's Eye, a very old collection, and I found one that just said happiness, so I thought that worked really nicely, just to bring that yellow into the bottom right hand corner next to that star. And then I will bring it in one of the little suede smiley faces as well in a pale blue. And that just finishes that cluster off really nicely. So just deciding where to put that suede smiley face, but it ends up there just underneath that tiny blue padded star. So now that corner's sorted, as I say, I'm just bringing in this little chevron piece as well. Again, just something that I printed off myself and punched out with a circle punch. So now my journaling, and this just reads, now that the exams are over, we've enrolled you at academy level at Pride Performance Weightlifting, meaning you go as often as you like to hone your skills and really compete if you wish. So these grey arrows are from Becky Higgins' Project Life. I've had them in my stash for years, and as you can see there are hundreds of them, so just trying to get bits and pieces in that drawer that I've got on my desk used up. And now some black enamel dots from Nuvo Crystal Drops. And to finish off, I'm going to grab my We Are Memory Keepers Whole Reinforcer Punch and add some of those rings around my page in black. If you've watched me for a while, you know this is something I really enjoy doing. The black really makes everything else on the layout pop. And that's it. So thank you so much for joining me for day 28. On to day 29 tomorrow, so we're nearly there, just 2 more days to go. And thoroughly enjoyed this. So thanks so much, Christie, for providing this series for us every few months. It's really great. And I shall see you tomorrow. Thanks so much. Bye.